We often think aging is something that just happens to us, like a slow and inevitable decline written into our DNA. But when you really look around, you notice something fascinating. There are older men who don't just survive the years, they seem to outgrow them. Their faces carry calm instead of bitterness. Their posture holds confidence instead of exhaustion. Their presence feels grounded, clear, and quietly powerful. And it forces an important question. What are they doing differently? Looking younger isn't really about skin or hair or numbers on a birth certificate. It's about regulation. It's about how the nervous system is treated over decades. Men who look younger tend to protect their energy fiercely. They don't live in constant emotional chaos, chronic stress, or unresolved resentment. They step away from drama. They choose peace over proving themselves. And that choice alone slows the wear and tear that ages most people prematurely. These men also have a strong sense of self. They are no longer chasing validation or approval. They are not trying to be seen as impressive, dominant, or invincible. Instead, they know who they are and live in alignment with that truth. That kind of internal stability shows up physically. The body relaxes when the mind is no longer at war with itself. What's often missed is that youthfulness is a byproduct of boundaries. Older men who look younger know when to say no, when to rest, and when to walk away. They respect their limits. They understand that constantly overextending, people-pleasing, or staying in toxic dynamics accelerates aging at every level. This is not about luck or genetics. It's about habits practiced quietly over years. Habits rooted in self-respect, emotional awareness, and intentional living. And when you understand these habits, you realize something empowering. Aging well is not about turning back time. It's about finally learning how to stop fighting yourself. So many people spend their lives running from aging as if it were an enemy, clinging to trends, appearances, and external validation in a desperate attempt to feel relevant. But men who look younger than their age rarely play that game. They understand something deeper. Youth is not something you chase. It is something that emerges when your life has meaning. Purpose steadies the nervous system. It gives direction to your days and coherence to your choices, and that stability shows up in the body, the face, and the way you move through the world. When you live with purpose, you stop wasting energy on comparison. You are no longer scanning the room to see who is ahead of you or behind you. You are focused on what matters to you and what aligns with your values. That focus creates calm. Calm reduces chronic stress. And chronic stress is one of the fastest accelerators of aging. Purposeful men wake up knowing why they are here, even if that purpose evolves over time. That sense of direction acts like an anchor in a culture that constantly pulls people into distraction and self-doubt. Purpose also changes how you respond to setbacks. Instead of interpreting challenges as proof that you are falling behind or losing relevance, you see them as part of a larger journey. This reframing protects your self-esteem and prevents the emotional collapse that so many experience as they age. Men who live with purpose don't spiral into bitterness or regret. They integrate their experiences. That integration keeps their emotional world clean, and an uncluttered emotional world translates into a lighter physical presence. Another critical aspect of purpose is boundaries. When your life has meaning, you don't overextend yourself trying to please everyone. You know where your energy belongs and where it doesn't. You say no without guilt. You step away from chaos without explanation. This conservation of emotional energy preserves vitality. The body is not designed to live in constant reactivity, and purposeful men refuse to live that way. Living with purpose also deepens connection. These men invest in relationships that are reciprocal and nourishing. They are not chasing admiration, they are cultivating respect and authenticity. That kind of connection reduces loneliness, which is a silent but powerful factor in premature aging. Feeling seen and grounded in your life creates a sense of safety that the body responds to. Ultimately, men who live with purpose age differently because they are not trying to outrun time. They are using time wisely, their days are aligned, their priorities are clear, and their sense of self is intact. Youthfulness becomes a side effect of a life lived intentionally, not a prize chased in fear. Aging accelerates when life becomes reactive, impulsive, and driven by short-term relief rather than long-term well-being. Men who look younger than their age understand this at a deep level. They don't rely on motivation or bursts of desire to guide their lives. They rely on discipline. Not rigid control, but consistent, self-respecting choices made day after day. Discipline becomes a form of self-care, and the body responds to that stability with resilience and vitality. Desire is loud. It wants comfort, distraction, indulgence, and escape. Discipline is quieter, but it is far more powerful. It shows up in how these men sleep, how they eat, how they move, and how they manage stress. They don't wait until they feel like doing the right thing. They do it because they understand that the nervous system thrives on predictability. Regular routines signal safety to the body, and a body that feels safe ages more slowly. This discipline also extends to emotional habits. Men who stay youthful are careful about what they expose themselves to psychologically. They limit constant negativity, excessive conflict, and environments that keep them in a state of agitation. They don't argue for the sake of winning. They don't stay in conversations that drain them. They know that emotional dysregulation takes a visible toll over time, carving stress into posture, expression, and energy. Choosing emotional discipline protects both mental clarity and physical appearance. Another powerful form of discipline is delayed gratification. These men resist the urge to numb discomfort with substances, overwork, or compulsive busyness. They allow themselves to feel boredom, frustration, and uncertainty without immediately escaping it. This builds emotional strength. The ability to sit with discomfort prevents burnout and preserves long-term health. The face softens when the mind is no longer constantly bracing or running. Discipline also shapes self-respect. Each small promise kept to oneself reinforces a sense of internal trust. That trust reduces self-criticism and shame, which are heavy emotional states that age people rapidly. When you know you can rely on yourself, you walk differently, you breathe differently, you carry less tension. That ease is often mistaken for youth, but it is really the absence of internal conflict. Men who choose discipline over desire are not denying themselves joy. They are choosing a deeper, more sustainable form of it. Their lives are not ruled by impulses, but guided by intention. Over time, those daily choices compound, creating a body and mind that feels steady, capable, and alive. Youthfulness, in this sense, is not something they hold on to. It is something they naturally embody. Modern life rewards noise. It glorifies urgency, constant reaction, and emotional intensity, as if being perpetually stressed is a sign of importance. But men who look younger than their age have quietly opted out of this chaos. Their greatest advantage is not genetics or luck. It is calm. Calm is not weakness or passivity. It is regulation. It is the ability to stay grounded in a world that constantly tries to hijack your nervous system. These men understand that chronic stress is cumulative. Every unresolved conflict, every rushed decision, every moment spent in hypervigilance leaves a mark. Over time, that mark shows up in the body as tension, fatigue, and premature aging. Calm men interrupt this cycle. They slow their responses. They pause before reacting. They don't let every provocation pull them into emotional overdrive. That pause protects their energy and preserves our health. Calm also changes how they move through relationships. Instead of engaging in power struggles, they choose clarity. They don't raise their voice to be heard. They don't escalate to feel in control. Their steadiness often diffuses conflict before it even begins. This reduces emotional wear and tear, which is one of the most underestimated contributors to aging. Living in constant relational turbulence keeps the body in a state of alert. Calm restores a sense of safety, and safety is deeply rejuvenating. Another key aspect of calm is selective engagement. These men are intentional about what they give their attention to. They don't consume endless negativity, outrage, or drama. They recognize that what you repeatedly expose your mind to becomes your internal environment. By curating that environment, they protect their mood, their sleep, and their overall well-being. Rested minds create rested faces. Regulated minds create relaxed bodies. Calm is also rooted in acceptance. Men who age well have stopped fighting reality. They are not resisting change or clinging to who they used to be. They adapt without panic. This flexibility reduces internal friction, which is often visible in people who seem tense, hardened, or prematurely worn down. Acceptance allows energy to flow instead of being locked in constant resistance. In a world that equates busyness with worth, choosing calm is a radical act of self-respect. These men don't need to prove anything through exhaustion or chaos. Their calm presence becomes a stabilizing force, both for themselves and for others. Over time, that steadiness preserves vitality. Calm doesn't just make life more manageable, it makes AGI more graceful, more intentional, and visibly lighter. Many people move through aging with a quiet sense of panic. They fear becoming invisible, irrelevant, or powerless, and that fear seeps into how they carry themselves. Men who look younger than their age have made a different psychological choice. They age with power, not fear, and that choice reshapes everything from their mindset to their physical presence. Power, in this sense, is not about dominance or control. It is about self-possession. These men are not threatened by the passage of time because they are no longer outsourcing their worth. They don't measure themselves by admiration, status, or how others respond to them. Their sense of identity is internal and stable. When fear is removed from the equation, the body relaxes, shoulders drop, breathing deepens, the face softens. What people often interpret as youth is actually the absence of chronic defensiveness. Aging with power also means releasing the need to compete with younger versions of yourself or anyone else. These men are not trying to prove they still have it. They know what they have. Experience becomes an asset rather than a reminder of loss. That confidence shows up in how they speak, how they listen, and how they move through spaces without rushing or shrinking. Fear ages people quickly because it keeps them in a constant state of self-surveillance. Power frees them from that exhausting loop. There is also a deep emotional maturity at play. Men who age with power take responsibility for their inner world. They process grief instead of suppressing it. They integrate mistakes instead of denying them. They forgive themselves rather than living in shame. Unresolved emotional pain hardens people over time. Resolution, on the other hand, creates lightness. That lightness is visible. It looks like ease. It looks like clarity. It looks like someone who is no longer carrying emotional weight they were never meant to hold forever. Powerful aging is also reflected in boundaries. These men no longer tolerate environments or relationships that erode their well-being. They don't cling to roles that no longer fit or stay in dynamics out of fear of being alone. They choose alignment over attachment. That discernment preserves dignity and vitality. Fear-driven choices drain energy. Power-based choices restore it. When men age with power, their presence changes. They don't dominate the room, but they are felt. There is a grounded confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. The body mirrors the mind. Less tension, more balance, more steadiness. Aging in this way becomes an expression of self-trust rather than decline. And that inner shift is impossible to hide. It shows in how they live, how they relate, and how they age. Aging well is not about defying time or trying to look like someone you are not. It is about learning how to live in a way that no longer exhausts you. Men who look younger than their age are not chasing an image. They are practicing habits that protect their nervous system, honor their energy, and reinforce self-respect. Over time, those choices reshape both the inner and outer life. When purpose guides your days, discipline shapes your routines, calm regulates your responses, and power replaces fear, the body responds naturally. Tension eases, reactivity fades, vitality returns. Youthfulness becomes less about appearance and more about presence. People sense it before they see it. It shows up in how you walk into a room, how you handle pressure, and how you relate to others without needing validation. The most important truth is this: aging does not have to mean shrinking. It can mean expanding into clarity, confidence, and peace. Each habit discussed is a quiet rebellion against a culture that equates worth with struggle and chaos. When you choose alignment over fear, regulation over reactivity, and intention over impulse, you reclaim control over how you age. Looking younger is never the goal. Living better is. And when you live better consistently, the rest follows naturally.